Okay, let's start. Good day, everyone, and good day, Ma'am Michelle also. And we are the group three that we will discuss for today. It's all about creativity in the 21st century. Okay, so but before we go into our discussion this afternoon, we are prepared a short learning game that we will be wake up in ourselves while we are watching and listening in this video. Okay, so this learning game entitled Pictionary. Okay, this is a combination of picture and dictionary. Okay, so our mechanics here is we have something that we will present that you can guess in every drawn picture. Okay, so this presenting is your clue or idea to guess the word the drawer picture. Okay, is it clear? Okay, is it clear? Okay, so let's start. Okay, so based on the first picture, what what can you see? Okay, a form of shape. Next one po. Okay. Table. Okay. Paper and pencil. Okay. And last, a girl. Okay. So based on the picture, what picture is formed? Okay, learner. Let's see. Okay, that's right. Learner. So learner, a person who is learning a subject or skill. Okay, next one po. Okay, how about the okay, how about the another one? Okay, a man, a form of line, and a bulb. Okay, so based on the drone picture, what picture is formed? Idea, creativity, okay, thinking. That's revealed. Okay, so the right answer is creativity. So the use of imagination or original ideas, especially in the production of an artistic work. Okay, so that's great. Okay, so let's start in our discussion for today. Okay, like we are said lately, we are talking about the creativity in the 21st century. But before that, some of the person or some of the people asking the question, have you heard the phrase 21st century lately? Or that it seems that nobody ever takes that the time really explain what does it mean. Okay, and for today, we are going to answer those questions and explain the skills and the creativity in the 21st century. Okay, so but before that, we can see a picture in the presentation. Okay, so okay po, okay, based on the presentation picture, what learners they are doing. Okay, making an artwork. Okay, productivity. Okay, and flexibility. How about the others? Okay, initiative. Okay, very good. So in the 21st century education, next po. Okay, a 21st century education is about giving students the skills they need to succeed in this new world and helping them grow the confidence to practice those skills. So a 21st century learners are been having a different or a lot of skills that can be used in the future. Okay, so these abilities, all right, so these abilities are classified into different categories. So first one is creativity in the 21st century, and followed by creativity in design. Lastly, thinking for educators. So in this pre-recorded video, we will dive into each category in depth so that you know people are talking about when they say or when they hear the phrase 21st century skills. Okay? So we'll start by talking about the learning skills or also known as forces. Okay. Next po. Alright, so these forces or learning skills, these are also called as forces. So this skill all help students to adapt and to improve the workplace on the situation of a learner of a students. So this skill including the creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, and communication. So all of them are skills that students can be used later and in their lives to adapt in any situation that can use or that can encounter in their future. Okay po. And 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 for we can more understand learning skills for the first for forces, let's giving an emphasis for this sector of learning skills. Okay, so the next presenter is Pamela Ordonez po.
As a learner, as learner and development professionals in the tech field, we affected every day by the demands of rapid change in our learners that they are want to see us. To understand what does it mean, let let's come to know and understand the learning skill or what we call forces. First category is creativity. Developing what developing out of the box thinking skills so as to overcome challenges is an original fashion. This means the learner are we want to develop their ability to see how opportunities for what to produce original ideas and to flexibly adapt to changing situation and to apply one's one's imagination to complex problem. This is the road towards innovation to all aspects of life on which modern society built. Um, this this means the learner we want to develop their ability. For example, um, the, te- the teacher will giving a project to her student to create a family picture. The teacher give us an analytic rubrics for student, eh, rubrics for her standards. In that scenario, the students or learner be assume that they will attempt the goal of a teacher. Next slide, please. Next one is the critical thinking. But we look more deeply, it seems helpful to define critical thinking. However, it's an abstract concept that means discussed since the times of early Greek philosophy. It is the notoriously hard to pin down an agreed definition. There are elements that experts agreed are the essential for critical thinking, such as being able to think independently, clearly and rationally. It involves the ability to reflect of an idea or a problem, apply reason, and make logical connection between ideas. Developing the developing the ability to analyze problem and to come up with logical and quality solutions. For example, a high schooler may see a new items about climate change. They can apply critical thinking skill to reflect on the different arguments, learn more about the topics, and come to a reasoned conclusion. Skills you need to add that critical thinking has a goal to arrive at the best possible solution in given circumstances. It is a way of thinking about particular things at a particular time. It is it's not the accumulation to fact and knowledge or something that you can learn once and then you can use for forever, such as 9 times table. Next presenter is Hilda Paglinawan.
Next slide po. One, one of the parts of forces is collaboration. Collaboration, teamwork, key to success, not just in education but in life in general. Also, collaboration entails solving problems together, accepting other people's ideas, developing team spirit, and learning how to accept responsibility within a team. So, collaboration is when you are going to work with another person or group in order to achieve or do something. Example of collaboration is we, as a student, when there is a grouping project or activity that our teacher assigns, we need to cooperate with our groupmates so that our work will be good, be well, and for us to have a high grade. Collaboration has a 5 promoting collaboration. Next slide, please. So first, promoting collaboration is learning station. This is when used in the classroom, open up more possibilities for personal learning, social interaction, and the building of relationship between student and teacher. It is also physical location in the classroom where students are asked to solve a problem and answer some questions using the materials provided. It is help the students to encourage them to team teach and take more of a leadership role in the classroom. Second, promoting collaboration is cross-curricular collaboration. This is about working with another curricular area or even a grade level. Example of cross-curricular collaboration is when we do a thesis. We need a survey so we can cooperate at another level to get their opinions or idea. And third one is beyond classroom discussion. This is about how teachers use their strategy to have a connection and exchanging information between teacher and student. Example is recitation or the undergoing classes. Student can ask the teacher and the teacher can ask the student. The fourth one is collaborative creation. Students work together in ways that build collaborative skills while also connecting them with more authentic and meaningful learning experience. There are many tools that are adding features for students to, to create together beyond the collaborative option. Within Microsoft and Google, students can now work with emerging technologies. And lastly, blogging and website design. So, blogging and website design, in this, in this 21st century, people already know the blogging and how to use technology. It is offers so many benefits in addition to building literacy skills and helping students to share ideas in more authentic ways. Next slide please. Next is, and lastly, part of courses is communication. It is presenting ideas and exchanging opinions using different methods, ability to actively listen and understand other people's views. This skill allow people to work well in company terms and cooperate with business partners. So in the other terms, communication is the act or process of using words, sound, sign, or behaviors to express or exchange information or to express your ideas, thoughts, and feelings. Just an example of communication is what we do right now. We are the reporters called communicator or sender. We provide or giving an information and the listener or the recipient of the information we provide is called receiver or audience. Other example of communication is when you are working in company and the boss give a task to your team. So you as a member, you need to communicate to other member and exchange some ideas or information to have a good presentation, especially when you have a partners in terms of business. You need to communicate to them so your business can grow better. Now, let's proceed to the next presenter, Miss Queen Esther Punzalan.
Thank you. So the next topic is about how to foster creativity. But first of all, what does the word foster mean? So the word foster is to encourage or to promote the development of something, typically something regarded as good. So today, I'm going to talk about how to encourage or develop creativity in students in the 21st century. What are some ways that teacher may utilize to help 21st century learners develop and discover the creativity in the classroom? So for the first way, kindly read Kimberly Spicer.
Number one, giving students rich opportunities in their learning environment to explore technologies.
Thank you. As we all know, we are currently living in the 21st century. We put the needs of the student first. That is why teaching approach now is learner-centered. So as future educators, we must allow our students to engage with new technologies in order for them to fully comprehend and think creatively. For example, based on the picture, Mr. Santos, an English teacher, used speech laboratory so that both teacher and students could converse with each other via computer and earphones with microphone. Students are only expected to respond in English to the teacher's questions and recitations. By speaking English in class, students will be able to talk more creatively and eloquently. And with the use of microphone, their accents will improve as well. So another example, based again in the picture, is when teaching Photoshop editing or Excel, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, and others. So Mr. De La Cruz, an ICT teacher, used computer laboratory so that each student have an opportunity to use computer and create their own design with the teacher's help. So using computer, students can create and edit the pictures creatively needed for the discussion. So next slide please. For the second way, how to foster creativity, kindly read Marissa.
Number 2, engage in play.
Thank you. So for the second is engage in play. We should motivate our students in engaging play for them to enhance their skills like dance and music. Because creativity is not just seen in academic learning process, but it can be also seen in dance and music. So for example, based on the picture, dance, through creativity, they can formulate a better choreography and a concept of a dance. Another is when a teacher asks students to construct a stage play based on the discussion. Students can use their creativity to write a script, cast actors, create props, and perform the play on the stage with music. They have fun while learning at the same time. So for the last one, kindly read Hilda. Rea na lang.
Number 3, be immersed in a design process, inquire and investigate.
Thank you. For the last one is be immersed in a design process, inquire and investigate. So for example, based on the picture, there are a lot of papers and students creating undergraduate thesis. So the process of writing an undergraduate thesis demands creativity because it necessitates critical thinking in order to come up with a feasible solution to the thesis problem. Inquiring and investigating are also part of communication. Researchers or students conduct surveys and questionnaires to the other people in order to generate creative interpretations and solve problems accurately. So as a result, the undergraduate thesis provides an example of how to improve a learner's creative thinking. So the next reporter is Mariah Kimberly.
Okay, creativity and design thinking for educators. This process can be implemented into classroom lessons and projects to help students to generate and innovate their ideas. Okay, this is the way to solve or to define the challenges or the problems. It is also used to help the students to improve their perceptions in life. Students will begin to learn how to adapt and solve problems after conducting research and analyzing what they discovered. Like, one of the best example is after the students watch movies. Students will able to learn on their own. Kagaya nung sa panahon ngayon, yung kapag yung isang bata, iniwanan mo lang siya dyan, then hinayaan mo siyang manood ng mga movies, after a few weeks, makikita natin na alam niya na yung kung ano yung pinapanood niya, kabisado niya na. It means na mas natututo yung isang bata kapag siya mismo yung nakakanood ng isang bagay. Design thinking ideas begins with understanding and your audience, developing solutions or ideas based on what they need. For educators, this strategy will help your students to develop critical thinking and creativity skills they can maintain for so many years. Okay? For the next presenter, Miss Rea Sandoval.
Before we proceed, we all know that, next slide please. Okay, before we proceed, we all know that last year, until now, pa naman, we are encountering a very tragic pandemic crisis. And I got this news last year na Philippines says school won't reopen until there is a COVID-19 vaccine. The report also says that online school will start noong August last year, and I believe some private school na has already started their online school, like sa school ng aking pamangkin, and it changes the landscape. Nagbago mismo yung landscape ng school, ng education, mismo ng education, even the environment, culture. So, as an aunt of my niece who are having their online class every day and even their behaviors nagbabago din. So, madaming challenges na natin dito sa COVID-19 na to. And the most affected one are, other than the tourism industry, and one of the most affected also is the education sectors, and especially the teachers in public. There is a big challenge for the teachers right now. Next slide, please. There's a big challenge for the teachers right now on how to teach or kung paano sila magtuturo ngayon na hindi sila pwedeng pumunta sa school. Even yung mga bata na hindi pa pwedeng bumalik sa school. And we are leveraging right now on technology. So with the design thinking, last year, ang mga school, like our school LCC, nag-conduct ng webinar or live na video kung paano gagawin ang online class, kung paano ang proseso. Hindi lang for students, but for also sa parents, educators, and even the school administrators. And one of, or some of the results or insight na nag-gather doon is yung mga maraming thoughts habang nasa webinar. Isa sa mga thoughts doon is, public school teachers aren't equipped enough for virtual class. Kasi right now, di ba nung pasukan pa lang, nung nalaman na we'll be having a school in virtual class or online class, so it's a challenge for the public school teachers right now. Other than that, I also gather some insights or common insight like communication with parents isn't effective anymore kasi nga daw it's gonna be online. This speaking from the school teachers who usually give advice to the parents. For students naman, ang mga thoughts na nandun is isa sa mga thoughts na nandun is students just aren't interested in learning about fractions. This is very common thoughts also that I gather from the design thinking. So there's a lot of problems in education this pandemic crisis right now, but each of these concern that I told you, or even iba pang concern na nadidinig or nababasa nyo through social media, can be seen as an opportunity for the school teachers, lalo na sa public school teachers, educators, and even for the parents to design a new improved solution for either school classroom, virtual classroom for the school, or even in their school, even in their local communities. Next slide, please. So there's a need right now, especially there's a need for learners to be evolving rapidly in technology. Ang mga bata ngayon, mas nakaka-cope up sila sa technology more than their parents and even more than their school teachers. Kasi 'di ba, especially sa mga teachers na matatagal na sa school, lalo na sa public school. Kids right now are very more fast in adapting technology than the school teachers. But then again, it would not stop the school teachers from extending or from teaching them. So kasi the school teachers or the educators understand their students and even how they teach to be understand their student more than anyone else. So right now, it is the opportunity and the same time your responsibility as an educator is to create solution for this problem. As we are faced this pandemic crisis that we are experiencing right now, sabi nga sa quotes na we can solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we use when we created them or when we created the problem. Or when we create the problem. So whenever we interact with our student for being what do you call this? For being engaged to the parents, there are always challenges there. So now design thinking, as I can say, is one of the approach for solving these challenges that we are encountering right now. Next slide, please. So what is design thinking? Okay, design thinking is a mindset. It is a mindset where believing in yourself as educators that you can make difference and having an intentional process in order to get to new relevant solution that create on a positive impact. And another one is design thinking gives you faith, okay, in your creative abilities and process for transforming difficult challenges into opportunities for design. In design thinking, as you can see, there are 4 attributes. First is design thinking is a human-centered. Okay, when we say human-centered, design thinking begins with empathy or simpatia. In this case, the students or your student, teachers, parents, and even the school administrators are one of your your empathy onto them. It's a human-centered, not a problem-centered. And then next, design thinking is collaborative. Design thinking benefits greatly from the views of a multiple perspective and other creativity, boosting their own. So mas maganda kasi yung design thinking, nagiging mas effective siya if it is done collaboratively with others. Then next is optimistic. Design thinking is a fundamental belief that we all can create change no matter how hard, how big the problem is, how little or how small your budget is. No matter what constraints exist around you, designing can be enjoyable process. And lastly, design thinking is experimental. It gives you a permission to fail and to learn from your mistakes. This is where a quote says, fail quickly and then learn quickly. So because you come up with new ideas from design thinking, it's get feedback onto them to alterate. It is, in short, design thinking is the confidence that you gather things are possible and that you can make them happen. And that kind of optimisms are needed in education. This is where we also impart that optimism to our students. Next slide, please. Next is, what can I use design thinking for? Okay, you can use design thinking to approach any challenges. You can you can use design thinking in curriculum. So every day you design ways on how to interact with your students around their content. It can also be used in spaces. These are the physical or virtual environment or classroom. You can also use design thinking in creating process and tools. Right now there are already a lot of online tools that we can use for conducting classes, like Gmail, Zoom, and etc. But what's the process there? So every process is already designed, and thus it can be we design against to set up your school for success. And lastly, we can also use design thinking for creating your own system. Designing system is about balancing the complexity of many different stakeholders. When we say stakeholders, these are the parents, students, administrators with the need of the operation. So I hope I defined the design thinking to you clearly. So let's proceed to the next presenter, Miss Marissa Padrique, for the continuation.
So let's continue. As what said earlier, design thinking is a mindset and it's also a process. So it constructs a structural approach to generating and involving ideas. This is where you create a lot of ideas, and it also centered on human approach. It relies on your ability to be intuitive, to interpret what you observe, and to develop ideas that emotionally meaningful to those you are designing for. So in design thinking, we have 5 process. So the first one is discovery. The second one is interpretation. The third one is ideation. The third one is experimentation. And the last one is evolution and innovation. So let's proceed to number 1, discovery. So discovery is understanding and researching the problem. So in this space, so you need to discover what your student need or what your strategy approach to do. So for example we have 2 examples. So first one is Ma'am Esther is an old teacher from a different school nalilipat sa panibagong school. And the second one is a new teacher na bago pa lang siya sa pagtuturo. So doon muna tayo sa first teacher na old na, si Ma'am Esther. So Ma'am Esther is old educator. So may mga experience na siya sa pagtuturo. Pero kailangan niya lumipat sa bagong school. So anong gagawin niya? Anong approach ang gagawin niya para dun sa bago niyang mga student? Gagawin niya pa rin ba yung dati niya nang ginawa or papalitan niya pa? So dito papasok yung discovery. Aalamin niya kung ano yung kailangan ng mga student niyang bago, kung tatalab ba yung dati niyang ginagawa dun sa old school niya. So dun sa second example is the new educator. For example is Miss Teacher Kim. So Teacher Kim is a new educator, new teacher na bago pa lang magtuturo. So dito papasok yung discovery niya kung ano yung approach na gagawin niya bago siya para sa una niyang pagtuturo. So, ano ba yung mga approaches, strategy, mga visual, kung paano niya i-approach yung student niya. So, for the second one is, next please, interpretation. So, pag alam mo na yung mga gagawin mo dun sa discovery, na alam mo na, nalaman mo na, na-research mo na, na-understand mo na, natutunan mo na, dito papasok si interpretation, which is connecting the dots in your research. So, dito, kapag alam mo na yung approach, strategy, papasok na siya. Dito mo na gagawin yung mga natutunan mo. For example is, yun nga kay Teacher Esther, yung old teacher na, so nalaman niya na hindi pala tatalab yung dati niyang ginawa dun sa previous school niya, na kailangan niya pang baguhin. So, kung dati ay ginagawa niya is for attendance, is lalagyan niya pa ng happy face, sad face, pero hindi tumalab dun sa isa niyang parang naboringan yung mga student niya doon. So, ginawa niya, pinalitan niya ng bagong strategy. Doon naman sa second example natin, which is Teacher Kim. So, bago pa lang siya, na-discover niya na yung bagong approach niya, yung gagawin niyang approach. Dito niya ngayon gagamitin at titignan kung tatalab ba yon sa student niya. Thank you. So, for the third approach, will be discussed by Miss Nimo.
So, ideation, generating and refining ideas on how to solve the problem. So, from the word idea, dito pumapasok yung mga thoughts, suggestions, or possible actions that we do. So, in this process, this involves critical thinking. So, think outside the box by identifying new solution to the problem. We should investigate and look for the alternative ways of reviewing the problem. So, ideation is the process where you generate ideas and solutions through sessions such as sketching, prototyping, or brainstorming. So, for example, nagpagawa si teacher ng poster making. So, first, syempre, wala ka pang alam or wala pang pumapasok na idea sa utak mo. So, pero once na nagbigay si teacher ng team, so nagkakaroon na ng idea or may idea na sa utak ng students. So, nakakabuo na siya ng mga ideas or mga thoughts na kung ano yung mga dapat niyang i-drawing. So, by giving the team for the poster making and by creating ideas. So, nare-resolbahan yung problem natin by giving the team and for the poster making and by creating ideas. So, kasi si ideation, sabi nga dito, kailangan natin mag-isip ng mga ideas para ma-resolbahan yung problem natin. So, nung nagbigay si teacher ng team, na-resolbahan na yung problema ni student. So, next slide po. So, experimentation, testing your ideas, collaboration with others, and getting feedback. So, testing ideas means it is experimental phase in order for us to identify what are the best solutions for our problem. Collaborating with others, so collaboration will be applied at this stage to come up a better solution. So, through collaboration, we can gather possible solution and clearer view of our problem. So, sa experimentation naman, tinetest nito yung mga ideas na naiisip natin. Dito naman pumapasok yung makikihalubilo tayo sa ibang tao and then we are getting some feedbacks to them. So, okay, now let's proceed to the last presenter, Miss Kimberly Spicer.
So now, next slide. Okay. The last part of design thinking for educators is evolution. So, drawing conclusion, evolving your ideas, and moving forward. So, what does innovation mean? So, innovation can refer to something new, such as an invention or the practice of developing new things. An innovation is often a new product, but it can also be a new way of thinking. So, in innovation, you have to innovate your idea. You have to try something new and how to expand and how to make your idea better. So, as a future educator, there's a paradigm shift on us when we're going to teach. We're going to use the student-centered instead of teacher-centered. So just like what Ma'am Rhea said earlier, that according to Einstein, we cannot solve problems with the same thinking when we created them. That's the reason why we should always innovate our ideas. We cannot solve problems that we make from using the same idea or method when we created them. We have to upgrade and make something better to have a better solution. So in innovation, it involves planning next steps, communicating the idea to the people who can help you realize it, and documenting the process. So in innovation, you should always remember that the people that you're going to communicate with is exact or akma dun sa problema na kailangan nyong i-solve. Kasi, even though tama yung idea or tama yung process na na tama yung process na gusto mong gamitin, if mali naman yung people or mali naman yung problem na paggagamitan mo nun, ay magiging nonsense pa din yung ginawa mong idea. So, ayun. So, one of the examples din na kapag nagagawa ka ng idea is, pag, di ba, sa gabi, pag gumawa ka ng idea, mag-iisip ka ng idea or better solutions na pwede mong gamitin. So, sa gabi, itulog mo muna siya. So, pag dumating yung kinabukasan at inisip mo yung idea na yon, kung okay pa din ba siya sa'yo, okay yung idea na yon. Pero, kasi tayong mga tao, nagbabago pa din yung isip natin. So, pag gising mo sa umaga at sa tingin mo pangit na yung idea na yun, so, pwede mo na yung in-neglect at mag-proceed sa pagbuo ng panibagong idea. So in innovation, you have two processes and they are the tracking learning and the move forward. So in tracking learning, we have two parts and they are the define success and document progress. So here in define success, it is the the set of criteria for success to help guide and evaluate the development as you scale and build on your idea. So here in define success, dito mo kailangang tignan kung effective ba talaga or may changes ba dun sa sa ideyang ginawa mo, kung in the near future magiging success ba siya or magfe-fail siya. So the next one or the next part is the document progress. Once an idea has been implemented and become a part of everyday life, it is easy to lose sight of its impact. So when we create an idea or solution, of course, we're going to apply it in our daily life. So doon, mas madali nating makikita kung effective ba siya or may nagbago ba sa problem na meron ka. Kung meron bang changes or meron bang mas naging better impact sa problem na yon. So, ayun. So the second process is the move forward. So here in the move forward, we have 5 parts. So the first one is the plan next step. So when your idea has evolved into a solid concept, it's time to plan the next step. With your team, create a timeline for bringing a concept to life. So, of course, hindi naman nagiging successful ang idea if you're not going to bring it into yung concept into life. Siyempre, ang idea ay nasa isip lang ng tao. For it become able to succeed, you have to apply it. So, in our daily life, doon natin makikita kung nagsasucceed ba siya. So, the first thing you have to do is to plan your next step. Kung na-apply mo na siya, you have to think the next step that you're going to do para masundan or matugunan pa ano pa yung mga sumusunod na pangangailangan mo sa isang problema. So, the next one is the engage other. So, always remember that collaboration is very effective. Alam naman natin na 2 heads are better than 1. So, it's always important to collaborate with your members. The third one is to pitch your concept. So, yung concept na yon, hindi naman siya magiging effective totally kapag ikaw lang nag-iisip. So, ibenta mo yung concept na yon. Ipakita mo sa ibang tao, ipaalam mo sa kanila. Siyempre, pag binenta mo na yung concept mo na yon, pag napaalam mo na sa ibang tao yung concept na yon, merong feedback. Yung feedback na yon, dun mo malalaman kung effective ba yon or good thing ba yung idea na nabuo mo. Okay. So, the second one is the share your story. We have to teach through telling a story. As a future educator, we know that students are easier to learn when they can relate to us through telling stories based on real-life stories. So, ayun nga. It is very easy to teach students when we are telling them stories kasi it is very easy for them to communicate and relate to us. Kasi 'di ba, yung mga estudyante, yung mga bata, alam naman natin na kapag nagkukwento tayo based on real life stories, mas nakukup up natin yung attention at saka yung yung emotions nila. So always remember na kapag nagtuturo tayo, you have to tell your own story para makarelate din yung students sa'yo. And the last one is to build a community. So always remember that in innovation, you should always build your community. Yung mga teachers, parents, and even students. Ayun yung community mo. So, for you able to innovate, you have to the people around you. Syempre, hindi lang naman pwedeng ikaw lang ang magbabago. Syempre, sila din. So, I think that's all. Thank you, everyone.